Welcome, everybody. I'm laughing because I just recorded the session, and in me recording the session, it turns out I didn't switch on my mic. Now I have to start from scratch. Okay, this is hilarious. Sorry, I just had to let you guys know why I'm the way I am right now. But we move on. We move on. Today we're discussing ascension and the inner child, healing the inner child. How we can transform our inner child trauma into higher state of consciousness. Within the journey of ascension, it's all about rising to that higher state. Of state of mind, of consciousness. And having spiritual awareness. And all these I don't want to call them aspects. What we're trying to get to is all intertwined, deeply intertwined with healing the inner child and the unresolved issues that we have as people. You know, um, excuse me. Those traumas that we have, those childhood traumas where we're still holding on to. For example, an incident that happened when you were growing up, where one day it was hot and you wanted your mom to buy you, or your dad, or your parent or your legal guardian to buy you a water. And at that moment, you're a kid, all you want is water, 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 or an ice cream. Actually, let's make it an ice cream. And then your parent doesn't buy you that ice cream. In fact, they buy you water instead. But because you as a kid, you're thinking, oh my goodness, my parent doesn't love me, they're not listening to me. They bought me water and all I wanted was ice cream. Why couldn't they just buy me ice cream or buy me ice lolly? Because that thing would have, um, cool me down. Whereas your parents are like, I'm trying to hydrate you, and I'm not trying to give you seeds. So then you get a trauma of my parents. I mean, obviously traumas are more than that, but I'm just giving the lighter version of things now that could happen to us that then build these traumas that we have ultimately as human beings. And then you walk around the rest of your life thinking that people don't listen to me, people abandon me because that day when I was really, really, really dehydrated and wanted ice cream. My parents did not listen to me. Oh my God, little guardian didn't listen to me. And all I wanted was ice lolly. So even if now today I'm trying to manifest something, I will never get it because nobody listens to me, nobody cares about me. So we carry those beliefs from our childhood traumas. I mean, there are so many things that happen in our childhood, in our formative years, that have come now. Um, and some of them have become limiting self-belief that over the years they're just sitting in our subconscious mind that then they become like this self-fulfilling prophecy that happens. So we're saying nobody cares about me, and then we think about it and this person is not going to care about me, then eventually they don't care about you. But I digress. So this ascension is a transformative process. And this process is a lot about healing and confronting our wounds, from our past, releasing our old patterns, the limiting self beliefs, releasing the things that we picked up when we were little ones, and embracing who we are and embracing all the things we have, the good, the bad, the light, the shadow, and saying, this is who I am, and I accept myself fully and unconditionally. There are things I can change about myself and there are things I cannot change. But one thing I will do is I will work and improve until a point where I realize some things I cannot change, some things I can change, and I accept who I am and all of who I am. But we can't be accepting before we do the work because that's also not having a higher state of consciousness and ascension. So this journey, I find it is a very sacred, uh, path, a way of discovering who we are, the ascension path that is, especially through, for me, through the inner child, and it leads to this personal freedom. Imagine now as you're growing up, you're no longer carrying that self-belief, that limiting belief that, you were abandoned by your parents because they didn't buy you ice cream. So everybody's going to abandon you. And now you've gone to that moment. I like to reprogram my brain. I've gone to that moment. First of all, now I've learned that, oh wait, what did my parents buy me? Water. Oh, now I see I was hydrated, and they didn't want to give me sugar, but all I wanted was sugar. And they were tired, and they were thinking if they give me sugar, then I'm gonna be like all like bouncing up and down all the walls. over the world. And now what I do, I say, okay, now I understand why. Now I understand why my parents didn't buy me ice cream, water. And then I'm like, why don't I? What if we bought ice cream now? Now I've worked on, okay, I've understood like why my parents didn't buy me ice cream. Now, not that I no longer feel abandoned, but I understand the trigger, the thing that triggered me all along, thinking people um, don't take me seriously, or people always don't listen to me or abandon me because of the things that I want. And go back to that moment, to the core moment, reprogram that core moment, say, oh, okay, it's not that they didn't listen. There was an alternative to that. But I will buy myself ice cream and I will be okay. Then it starts shifting the way you see things, the way you see uh, um, the world, you know. And what's nice about that is that even in future experiences, you're gonna act like that. You're gonna be like, okay, so instead of being triggered, what has happened in this situation? You'll take a step back. You look at yourself, you look at the next person or the situation and environment, you will analyze it, and you will come with a solution that is best for yourself and everything and everyone around you in that situation. You know? And that's the beauty about this path, this sacred path, of ascension. Because now you get the personal freedom, that freedom of not being attached to this negative self belief and thought that you had, you know, but also you get connected because you always step back to your surroundings, to everything. You get connected to the source. You've healed yourself, which is the source. So by healing that inner child, those past traumas, you also healing yourself, you know. So, and I think, as I said, like for me, like healing my inner child was my core to my ascension process path, you know, the things that I had to deal with, the things that I had to overcome, and the limiting self beliefs and the fears that I had to overcome. Healing my inner child was a lot of that, had a lot to do with that, and expressing myself, expressing who I am and expressing certain things, I still struggle with it. That's why my voice goes sometimes, especially after like I speak and I talk and I verbalize things, you know. Oopsie. So I think the reason, I find that inner child is so important is that when we are kids, I think before the age of 6 or 5 or 8, I don't know, 8, maybe might be 8, we have, we are in alpha state. We are in alpha state, that when you're in alpha state, you absorb everything. That's why when you, for example, you meditation requires you to be in an alpha state so that then you're able to concentrate, then you're able to not even like concentrate, but you're relaxed and you can absorb a lot of things. So imagine all the things you absorbed when you were little, all those limiting self beliefs, all those experiences, not even limiting sometimes, the beliefs. Because we do get other good belief systems, because it's not always limiting self belief. We do get good belief systems. We get negative experiences, we get positive experiences, we get good behaviors, bad behaviors. We get a lot of things. We absorb a lot of things at that moment because we are in this alpha state where our mind just and our bodies and everything just absorb everything, you know. And I always say, the purpose of being on earth is so that our souls heal, our souls grow, So I see there's no such thing as a bad or good experience. It's just experiences that we learn, we heal, and we grow from. Because that's how then our soul expands. That's how then our soul, goes through the ascension process. It's that learning and that growing and that part where we heal, and it's layers also. It's the layers. It's not one part. So you might find, okay, you've healed from the first layer. So there's a second layer. You're healing the second layer. The third, oh, I've healed this part of my inner child. Because remember, there's so many parts that you have to heal from. There's so many parts that you have to heal from. So now I've healed this part of my inner child. I've healed that part of my inner child. And so on and on and on, because healing is not a destination. It's a journey with a never ending destination, other than the destination is healing and growing. It's not where at the end now you get this ultimate doctorate where now you heal, now you're done. No, it's continuous journey of learning and ascending and growing and healing to be the best possible self, best possible soul who and what you need to be, you know. So and then as I mentioned, during that time we're in that alpha state, so many things happen. You get your joyous moments, you got your painful moments, you get the trauma, which it could manifest as neglect, abandonment, and emotional needs, and these things get lodged up in our psyche, you know they become these barriers, unhealed wounds, and which prevent us from accessing that higher state of consciousness, from having like a peaceful life. That's when you get triggered by the smallest things, when you get triggered by, oh, you driving and this person crosses the road and you get annoyed. Why is this person crossing the road? I know people like, those ones who tell them, please drink water and mind your own business. But this people just never do, like, they'll always look at people and then they'll create a story like, oh, that one, look, they're running away from that one. Why is that one walking like that? Oh, they're walking like that because they probably lost their job. And I'm like, did you just sit here and create a story about that person you don't even know that just walked past you? Is that how much? And the stories are never positive. They're always negative, which always amazes me. Like, how are you creating a story about another person and a negative story is beyond me. Like, because they don't have inner peace. They don't have peace within themselves. And imagine if that person had peace. Firstly, they wouldn't be doing that. But their stories would also be different. Like, oh, look at that guy. They probably won the lottery. Oh, look at that guy or girl. Oh, they probably, won whatever. And now they're so joyous. And I'm so happy for that person, you know? Then it's a whole, and also you're filling the air with good and better vibrations. But I digress again. Back to our story and healing the inner child and the role of the inner child in the ascension process, you know? But in order for us to have this, we must create a sacred space, and the sacred space, because for us to deal with and to go and to revisit those memories and those unhealed parts of who we are. First of all, we need to be brave. We need to be bold. We mustn't be afraid to revisit those memories, and evoke that discomfort. Because, we grow, we don't grow when we're in a comfortable space. We grow when we have discomfort. When like, oh, I don't know what to like, okay, yeah, okay, I need to do something about something. So therefore I need to learn something so I get out of the situation, or I'm within the situation comfortably in it. And then you get to the next part, like so we grow because we're learning, and we always need comfort, and we're seeking comfort, which is weird, right? So we shouldn't be afraid, to go into the parts that we buried about ourselves. But this requires a very compassionate space, a sacred space. And I always say the sacred space is within our hearts. And I know my inner child, there's a little, I did once in this meditation, and they were like, I think it was a tree house. I went to a tree house, but I went in there, found my inner child in there, built her this beautiful space where anything happens, I go in that room and I say hello and I visit her. And even if sometimes something doesn't happen, I just go in like, hi, how are you doing? Right now I'm like, she's drinking tea. She's always drinking tea. Love tea. Whenever I have tea, I know it's her. Always drinking tea. And I told you guys, right? I don't know now if I said this with the previous video that didn't record, that I love jelly babies. I love jelly sweets. Like, I never used to like sweets until I healed my inner child. Now I love jelly sweets. So go in there, we eat our jelly sweets, we speak, she tells me stories. Obviously, this process needs your imagination. Obviously, this process needs your divine feminine energy, your creativity, your nurturing, because you're going into this space of nurturing. You're going into this space of making sure you are reparenting yourself. You are giving yourself that love that you need, so that why? So that your oxytocin. I know I love oxytocin. Your oxytocin increases, and when you increase the oxytocin, you increase your vibrational frequency, because the love that you give, the love to yourself, and the love moves from yourself, and then it emanates out into the world. That's how the inner beauty comes in, because you have the love that you need for yourself, and that love now it flows out, it flows into the world, and that's when you ascend and you increase the vibrational levels of yourself, and like of who you are. So that's why then the sacred space where you acknowledge your inner child, you acknowledge everything about it, you acknowledge, you have compassion for it, you've got unconditional acceptance. I cannot state this enough. Unconditional acceptance. By unconditional acceptance, I mean you're willing to dive into the shadows. You look at the light and the dark equally because that's how we want to grow. And we need to give them both love. All of it, we need to give it love. Because if you're not giving it love, even if you don't have love, if you think you don't have love, because we all have love actually, give it acceptance. And you give it with a voice where you're the parent. If you have kids, you know how you do it for your kids, right? You hold them, you hug them. I always give my kids like this. Sorry, I can't drop past. I always give my kids this 20-second hug, and also that's got to do with oxytocin. This 20-second hug, and then I always feel them like by second 12 they start melting. So give yourself a 6-second hug minimum, actually, an 8-second hug, and just hug yourself, and you will feel better. So even if at that moment you think and you don't feel that you got the love, hug yourself nonetheless. Just hug yourself. Just hug yourself and see like after 6 seconds. But breathe also like because you don't want to hug yourself tense because then defeats the whole purpose. Then now your amygdala is kicked in. Now you're tense and you're fearing. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to let it lower it so that we increase our oxytocin. Okay. Oh, and so I think the process of ascension that I think I've touched on this before is we want to transcend our limiting beliefs. We want to that given us these unhealed wounds. These unhealed wounds that we have. We want to balance. When they say harmony and balance, that light and shadow, and live with it. Live with it. With beauty, with kindness, with compassion, as I've said, because you want to take away this illusion of separation, of, oh, this part of me, because this happened, therefore I was traumatized, and that is not part of me. So I know someone who does that. Then they're like, no, this is from me when I was a kid, they never listened to me. This is why I don't listen to you. And I'm like, yeah, but if you work on you not being listened to, you will have the ability to listen to everybody else. No, yes, no. I think that could work. Let's try it out. You know, how about that? So because then if you accept that about yourself, not accept so that you bully other people using it and project it, you accept yourself. You do it. Sorry, I was like laughing about that one. Then this is when you holistically heal and you ascend. And as you ascend, you'll start seeing, and as I spoke about it, that your divine feminine energy, like, it not doesn't even kick in. It naturally, you're in this flow of like the state of equilibrium where you're starting to flow. When I get clarity on certain things, and that's why I don't know this. We now forgot the videos which one it was. Where now when you're triggered, you can ask yourself questions. You look at the environment, you observe. You listen to your intuition, and your intuition will be like, don't do this, do that. And then you are guided by your intuition, which means you're guided by your healed self. Because now you're connected to yourself, you're connected to your healed self, you're your true essence. Then you go with the flow and you're no longer stuck with that energy because the traumas, the unhealed parts of us, they cause the blockage in us in our energy. Then it manifests in a lot of things. Like I got a headache. I can't see properly because your third eye is open because you don't want to see things. My stomach is sore. I've got IBS. My throat is always sore. I mean, you guys know I've said before I've got throat issues, but because I couldn't express myself because I believe nobody could hear me, nobody wants to understand me. And when I spoke, because I used to speak so fast, I still speak fast because I had to say it, and then like I have little time to speak, so I have to speak as fast as I can so that I don't have to say it again because this person has a small chance of listening to me. So dealing with those things, and creating a safe space to deal with those things, is good for you, and that's when you get unconditional love to yourself, unconditional, beautiful love. you know, and it's in that work that you need to do. you know. So there's a lot of everything out there that says, meditate, visualize, do affirmations, you know, because these will heal your higher frequencies. I do them, do everything, not everything all at once. Don't bombard yourself, but always ask yourself, so why always peel those layers when you're sitting in meditation? Because I know sometimes they say quiet down your mind. Have an opportunity where you ask yourself, replay certain things. Just have 2 minutes, replay certain things. Ask yourself questions. Or even if you do 20 minutes a day, 2 minutes of, and then after that you go, okay, not I've dealt with, but I've asked myself the why. When you do journal prompts, ask yourself the deeper questions. You know, ask yourself the how, why, where did it all go wrong? Why was I triggered? And what could I possibly have done differently in that situation? You know, and all these things create a space for, having insights, insights that will allow you to grow, that will make you understand who you are, you know. So yeah, man, it's a journey. It's a beautiful journey that we are all embarking on. And I think for me, once you heal those parts of those wounded parts of who you are, from all those traumas that have molded you, because they do have a tendency of molding us and our beliefs and who we are and become barriers. Once you take some of those out, you know, ultimately you will you will you will ascend. You will start, obviously, your ascension process when you start asking the whys, when you start um shedding those things that no longer serve you, and stepping into that highest part of who you are and the highest potential of who you are, and in that timeline you need to get into, and it's your journey to your highest timeline, because we're always shifting timelines, and that's what I heard someone the other day, he said, you're in a timeline, a different timeline. It's like we're always shifting timelines because our timelines are dependent on our frequency and a state of frequency. So once you heal a certain part, you become in a different timeline, because now all the things that happened in that, and the way, for example, let's go back to the ice lolly story, that once you've healed that ice lolly story, and now you've dealt with those limiting beliefs, you will shift timelines. You will get into that high vibrational state where now, okay, this is the timeline where the things that were in that timeline are no longer serving me. I will not encounter them. That's the beauty about it, because you will no longer encounter them because they don't trigger you, because now they're no longer in your belief system, especially the limiting ones. Then you deal with the next layer, and then you shift into the next timeline, because now your vibrational frequency, your oxytocin is up, your vibrational frequency is up, and now you start shifting all these timelines until you get to that highest timeline that you possibly can be. And this is where now start finding peace, joy, a better state of, you in a better state of mind. And this is where true liberation comes from. True liberation comes from, and this all comes within you, and giving yourself that love, healing that inner child, giving it unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, then allows you to grow and grow and grow into that highest timeline. And the other time I realized that sometimes when I say inner child, I also mean the inner teenager, because the things that happen when you're inner teenager. So if the things that happen as an inner teenager, then you deal with the inner teenager within you. But this is not another story for another day. So I hope this gave you insightful. This was insightful. Sorry, it gave you aha moments. And thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being here with us. I always say us, me and my spirit guides. And we hope really that you got some gems within that, and we really hope that it helps you in your ascension journey. So always remember to be bold, to be beautiful, and always, always be you, your true essence, because that's what we're trying to heal here. We're trying to help you so that you become your true essence. Bye, my beautiful beings. See you next time.